There are over 18,000 different law enforcement agencies in the United States today, including both federal and local bureaus and departments. That's right, 18,000. With numbers like that, should we be concerned? Is there a possibility of America becoming a police state? Or are we already there? Let's get shady with it, y'all. There's a storm coming. Y'all need to get ready. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. In case you are new here, I am Shady. You're in the zone. I want to start this video by saying something. I back the blue. I have always backed the blue. If you didn't know it, hell, I'm retired law enforcement myself. So I back the blue, and I will continue to back the blue. I will continue to support law enforcement until law enforcement gives me a reason not to support them. Now, if you're a patriotic American, you probably feel the same way I do. If you're over 50, you were probably raised to believe that the police and law enforcement are our friends, that they are here to protect us. And in the past, that's been true. But with new trends in our society, even normal, everyday onlookers like you and me can see that that's changing. Since the 1960s, law enforcement has been slowly morphing. Take a look at the thumbnail of this video. The days of Malloy and Reed riding around patrolling the streets of Los Angeles to protect and serve in Adam 12 are gone. Gradually, police departments have become more and more militarized. And you're probably asking yourself, how did this happen? You may not know how this happened. And to answer that, we have to go all the way back to the late 1960s. The late 1960s, it was a time of social unrest, and that was leading to chaos and rioting in most of the major cities. Looting, burning, and even snipers targeting both citizens and law enforcement was rampant. The police were unprepared for it, and they were untrained on how to handle the escalating violence and destruction that was taking place in their cities. The Watts riots in Los Angeles were the catalyst that gave birth to Special Weapons and Tactics Team. The first one was in Los Angeles in 1968, although some people say that Philadelphia had one before that. Here's a fun fact for you, though. SWAT was originally supposed to stand for Special Weapons and Attack Team. Now that don't sound scary as hell, does it? These new teams were mostly made up of highly trained officers, and a number of those officers were combat vets. They were equipped with advanced weapons and given special training. They were, if the truth be told, they were military units working inside of the police departments. And they got the job done. I got to give credit where credit is due. They helped quell the riots. The problem was what the problem always is. Those that don't have something want it. And over time, much of the equipment and tactics of these specialized teams trickled down to normal everyday officers, because normal everyday officers saw all the cool toys and tactics and they wanted part of that. And so gradually we have seen a change in the police department. We've seen a change in police officers' uniforms, along with more powerful and advanced weapons and more military type training. Federal agencies, concerned they had more funding, they advanced quicker. They got cooler toys than regular police departments. Now you take that and you combine it with the erosion of our civil rights and liberties. And we've seen this more and more in the recent past. And you've got the perfect recipe for America to devolve into a police state. I know this lady, I'm not going to drop her name here, but she has a fairly strong social media presence and she lives here in Colorado. She went to a local school board meeting and stood up and spoke out against some of the things going on in her children's school. The next morning, the FBI or the CBI, I forget which one, kicked in the front door of her home, stormed in dressed in full tactical gear, threw her and her family to the floor, including her children, cuffed them, and dragged them out of their home. They literally dragged one of her children down a flight of stairs while she was restrained. Law enforcement then informed them that they were suspected of being domestic terrorists. I'm not certain, but I'm fairly sure that either no formal charges were ever filed or the ones that were there were dropped. You move on. Brian Malinowski. I know I boogered that name. He was the executive director of the Little Rock, Arkansas's airport. He was murdered by ATF agents in a deadly and unnecessary early morning raid on his West Little Rock home on March the 19th. There was a suspicion that he was illegally selling guns. A suspicion. In truth, he was a gun collector and an enthusiast who collected and traded firearms just like hundreds of thousands of Americans do every day as a hobby. And the list of these kind of atrocities just goes on and on, y'all. And as the government becomes more and more intrusive on our civil rights, our personal lives, and our freedoms, incidents like these are going to happen with more and more frequency. Just to get back to Malinowski, I'm sorry, for just a minute. The ATF had had him under surveillance for quite some time. They knew where he worked. They knew when he left for work. They knew the route he took to work. They knew what he did at work, when he got off work, when he came home, what he did in his free time. They could have confronted him anywhere at any time. But no, they initiated a pre-dawn raid on his home to serve a warrant, and they killed him, and they put his family and his neighbors' lives in danger. So now, we have militarized law enforcement agencies with superior tactical training, superior equipment and weapons, and you add to that, at least on a federal level, some of the most sophisticated surveillance and tracking technology in the world. Plus, you add both state and federal governments doing everything they can to disarm law-abiding citizens. What could possibly go wrong? Now, I believe that law enforcement needs to have the tools and the training that they have to fight crime. I understand that, but this bothers me. And it should bother you too. It should shake you to your boots, Scooter. Why? Well, think about this for a minute. What if, in a state of emergency, the government federalizes all law enforcement? What if, all of a sudden, you wake up one morning and the Department of Justice is running your local police department? And what if, in this parallel universe, the DOJ, with all of its surveillance technology and society trending the way it is, what if they deem you a domestic terrorist or an enemy of the state? Do you think for 1 second that they will not send a goon squad after you? And look, I know there are people out there who are saying, Shady, you've lost it. You done went down a rabbit hole so deep you may never get out of there. And you won't let yourself believe it. You won't allow yourself to believe it. So I guess the people of Germany didn't believe it back in the 1930s either. Or the citizens of Venezuela. Or the people of China. And look how all that turned out. And yeah, I know from experience there are good law enforcement officers out there. I know there are those who will not turn on citizens, just like there are in the military. There are those out there who will walk away before they betray the oath they took to defend and protect the Constitution of the United States of America. And you know what? God bless you for that. God bless you for that. But look at how they're trying to blur the Constitution, to change the Constitution, to do away with the Constitution altogether. And like I said, a lot, most, if not all, of good law enforcement will walk away. Unfortunately, that only leaves us with the weak ones who just blindly and willfully follow orders and obey. So, should we be worried? Should we be concerned that this country is showing all of the telltale signs of becoming a police state? Tell you what, get on a search engine of your choosing. Search terms like innocent man killed by police, law enforcement officers murder, dot, 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 citizen wrongly shot. Be ready. You're going to get a lot of one-sided results. You're going to get a lot of BS out there. But do some searches for yourself and take a look at the sheer number of articles on these types of incidents that are out there. Now, after you do that, after you get done doing that, stop back by here and leave a comment down below. And if you relate to anything that you've heard here on the zone, in the zone, please feel free. Go up, hit the subscribe button. All right, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. Until the next time, y'all take care. God bless, and stay shady.
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight. On these shields, boys!